season, kind of built this chemistry, and now it's there if you need it.
Yeah, I think that's exactly the thought process. I think we've got some combinations that we have a lot of confidence in that have played together for a long time. We got down 2-0. We kind of jump-started the lineup a little bit by shuffling some things around. And then when that went stale, which I thought it did, early in the second period, we went back to those familiar combinations, and I thought those guys all delivered.
And have you seen the same thing on the fourth line? You had 4 different guys kind of rotating in and out, but whenever any 3 of them get together, they seem to have a lot of jump.
Yeah, I think, when I look back at last year's series against Vegas and this year's, that's probably been the biggest difference. I thought their fourth line dominated the series last year. I thought our fourth line this year has been tilting the ice in our favor every time they're out there. So it's been a huge equalizer compared to a year ago.
Yeah. And then home ice, is it a challenge at all, or is it just that you like the first 2 games and it's no big deal?
Yeah, no, I think we're all excited to sleep in our own beds and play in front of our home crowd at American Airlines tomorrow. I think the rink will be jumping, it'll be electric, and we're going to need it. It's a 2 out of 3, and 2 of the games are in our building.
And then how are the injured players? Any updates?
No updates, no. We'll have a skate tomorrow morning and have some more updates after that. Right.
What's your thought process, though, on when you have to line change? Do you have to bounce it off other coaches, or is it all pretty much your...
No. There's no one on the chain of hierarchy above me on the bench anyway. So, no. Those are decisions. We do discuss things. I'd be crazy not to with the assistant coaches I have. They all have great feel and they're very good at what they do. Sometimes it's just a gut feeling. You think your team's gone a little stale, so you want to make a change. That was the case last game. We didn't really have time to discuss. It was after they scored their second goal. We just felt that, or I just felt that it was time to make a little bit of a change and get back to some familiar units.
And when you guys when it was tied 2-2 and Delandry gets the...
Yeah.
Whatever kind of shot you want to call that, what kind of momentum switch was that for
your
team?
Well, huge momentum. The difference between going into the third tied on the road in that building or up is a huge difference, and totally different mindset. You could see in the third, playing with the lead against that team, is much easier than playing behind. I think both teams defend really well, so really it's a fight to see who can get out in front. Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Similarities did the road team display through this series? Is there a reason you think road teams do better?
Well, on our end, I'll talk about us in that. We managed the puck a lot better up there. I gave up a lot less. And I think that had a lot to do with us being able to weather the stretches of games where maybe they had their pushes. I know in Game 3 we were self-inflicted in terms of our puck play yesterday, maybe some discipline or puck management that came back at us when things were going well. For them up there, again, I'll let them talk about why they thought it didn't go their way, but up here they were able to take advantage of a lot of those opportunities, play the right way. I thought they defended pretty well through the neutral zone, tried to take our rush game away. Yeah, we got going a little bit yesterday. So that's a positive for us if we can balance both. It's our offensive zone game. We got to get back to generating off of that. So I think that's a little bit of what both teams have tried to do on the road is take away the other team's rush game. I think they're trying to do it everywhere, but in general, that's where things have been effective. That's where we were effective up there, and they did a test in Game 3 and then really transitioned well off some of our mistakes.
The series is 2-2, but 2 losses. The series is 2-2, but 2 losses in a row for you. What are you considering, or what are you thinking about to try and turn the tide?
Well, you think about your personnel. Do we need to make some changes? We made a change the other day. I think Amadio came in and played well. We have some guys that have played playoff hockey that are not in for whatever reason. We went with different lineup. Tactics, we're kind of getting along here now where there's not a lot of surprises anymore in terms of what the team's trying to do. There's always a thing or two, probably on special teams. Obviously, they're funneling more pucks to the net than they did up there. That's something what we got to be wary of. I think we were. A couple found their way in. One went off one of their guys. I mean, I think you could overanalyze things sometimes. You look at their 2 even-strength goals. One was from the corner. That modern-day NHL shot that they're trying to get goalies on the goal line, that's happening a lot. We've seen Draisaitl do it to us last year. That's tough on the goaltender, but that's a little bit of their game plan, so we have to identify how we're going to close those off, whether it's more men in front of the net so that we get the rebound, or not allowing that shot originally, which takes us out of a bit how we play D-zone, but we have to contemplate that. And then you think, well, are those goals going to go in again tomorrow? Is one going to go off our goalie's head from the corner? Is one going to go off their guy in front, right? Like there's some bounces involved too in the game that you got to be careful that, and they said that in game 1 and 2, they felt they didn't get the breaks. We scored a deflection goal, Hurdle knocks down his own puck. So some of that happens, so you got to be careful that you don't overthink it. For me, it's more the messaging to the players, what's at stake. And I'm not going to get into that today with the media, but in general, I think we have to understand that these opportunities don't present themselves all the time. We've put ourselves in a position to battle through a regular season. It's 2-2. We didn't like our game in game 3. We liked our game yesterday for the most part. We just had a bad stretch that cost us in the end of the second period. So there's a bit of messaging in there about what it takes this time of year. Reminding the players what is required this time of year, what that team wants. They want what we have, all right? So there's a hunger over there, and we have to match that hunger.
Bruce, you mentioned you have options, and Amadio came in last night and scored for you. What do you weigh when you decide who is the best option? Amadio, Dorofeev, Cotter?
Well, line combination, chemistry, health. How are the games going? What's required? Is there an ozone low around the net players, a little bit finishing off the rush? Can they come in and play in the penalty kill power play, like what situational hockey? We've always had a lot of centermen in our lineup. I like having those ability to move a guy from the wing into the middle. You start talking about overtime, double overtime. If you lose someone in the middle, it becomes important. So those are probably the things that I'll look at. And then lastly, performance. Is the player helping us win right now? Even though he may or may not be on the score sheet, or his numbers might not look like they're supposed to, is he helping us win, and can he help us win Game 5? So that's what we think about.
Talked about the little spurt that cost you, but what did you like about your response last night? What did you appreciate most about your game?
In the third period or the first period?
In the first period.
Well, we came ready to play. We're on our toes, right? We didn't like our Game 3. We acknowledged it. We were able to get it to overtime. But in general, wasn't good enough to win. So I liked our start. I thought we were in attack mode. First face-off, we made a play through a seam. We just didn't quite catch the pass. If you remember, Jack took a shot off the draw, and they weren't. You know what I mean? We were little things like that we did quicker in the ozone that just missed the net. I don't think anybody was ready. These are little things that you're starting fast on the face-off and on your toes, ready to play and ready to attack. The fact that we got to the net for second chances, Amo's goal, right, was a little bit of, okay, let's play off the shot mentality a little more. Jack's goal was the same way in the second period. Even though it was probably an obvious shooting situation for Marshy once he got it, we stayed in front. We didn't circle away. We stopped in the blue paint, and Jack got rewarded. Amo went to the blue paint, got rewarded. So a little bit more of that. If he's going to stop the first one and he sees it, let's make sure there's a second and third one, which sounds a little bit pedestrian, but we didn't do it in Game 3 enough. So we've got to get there. They're hiding one of their defensemen. So now you're playing 5D all night. Well, make them work in front of their net. Make them expend energy in front of their net. Make them take penalties in front of their net. So there's a little bit of that I thought we did well. And at the end of the day, we didn't draw any penalties going to the net. I thought there was a few opportunities, but you got to stick with it. And until the end of the game, but that's what you got to do, I think, to sort of neutralize what they're doing.
Where did you think, Bruce, I'll go to the third period, where do you think you maybe could have been better to try to change the outcome?
Well, I thought our third was okay. I mean, we were trying to, they're contracting inside. and they're blocking a lot of shots. They're fronting a lot of pucks. So low to high is available. You just got to find a way to squeak one through there, find a tip. I think we could have done a better job, maybe off net, finding a stick off net. We could have played behind the goal line when there wasn't a shooting lane there and see if you can get it to the slot that way. But I didn't think it was, listen, it wasn't good enough, but you got to understand, teams they're into playoffs. They're a good defensive team. They're not just going to fall apart, right? It doesn't usually happen that way. So you're going to have to muck one out. And if that happens, all of a sudden you're into overtime and you take your chances there. So at the end of the day, you hope maybe, again, you find a way to get some offensive life off a second chance, get a bounce, or get yourself in the power play. Again, those are some things we got to do better. We haven't been able to do that in this series enough. Draw penalties with either speed, skill, whatever. We've just got to find a way to build some momentum off that. We did the first game, haven't done enough of it at home here. And some of that's just getting into an attack mindset, force them to defend us better.
Are you surprised where the series is at? Considering the way it started, or do you figure this will be a long series? I
don't know what you're getting at, Dave. What's your question?
Well, I'm saying you're up 2-0, 2-0, now it's even. But it's two really good teams. There's not so much to separate you.
Listen, we go into every game expecting to win. And I'm going to tell you, I'm not going to sit here and say, well, it's going to go 7. I'm not that guy. Sorry. We went into game 1, we're prepared to win. Whether we do or not, I don't know. We're going into game 2. We went into game 3 prepared to win. We weren't prepared. We saw that. So yesterday we went into, so the games have been fairly even. I'll say that. They could have went either way. I thought they were dominant in the first 30 minutes of game 3. I thought we were the better team for 20-some minutes in game 4. So it's probably where it should be. But, we want it in our favor, as do they.